This is the Wizard News for Friday, December 3rd, 2021. Musical accompaniment by Flippomusic from the album Tao Tunes, or in Chinese, All Tunes.
Truthful words have no beauty, and words of beauty have no truth. Men of honor do not argue with their neighbor, and those who argue have no honor. The few who know are not learned, and learned men they do not know. And so the sage does not accumulate possessions, so then he knows that he's not owned by what he owns.
Experts and government officials found that the fake landlord scam has menaced Detroiters for at least the past decade and affects as many as 1 in 10 tenants facing eviction. People who have lost their house to foreclosure have kept collecting rent from tenants without letting on that they are no longer the landlord. In others, con artists have broken into vacant houses, changed the locks, listed them for sale or rent, then collected payments from victims. Some fake sellers have even filed false deeds to make fake sales look legitimate. Discriminatory lending practices, crumbling conditions, and limited access to banks have put conventional home loans out of reach for many in Detroit, a predominantly black and low-income city. And prices in the city's rental market are so low that reputable brokers and agencies stay away, leaving many renters to fend for themselves. Relying on cash transactions and rent-to-own arrangements called land contracts that make them more susceptible to fraud. Many Detroiters say they are not sure who owns the house they live in. There's no penalty for it, said a veteran Detroit housing lawyer who said he has referred cases to prosecutors and been told there was not enough evidence. The end of the federal eviction moratorium means tens of thousands of Detroiters are at risk of losing their housing as eviction cases make their way through the courts, and scammers could be waiting for them. The housing situation in Detroit has been chaotic since 2008, when the mortgage crisis cost more than 65,000 Detroiters their homes. A wave of aggressive tax foreclosures saw Wayne County officials seizing 1/3 of all Detroit properties for tax delinquency. By 2017, a city once known as a bastion of home ownership, particularly black home ownership, had become a majority renter city for the first time since 1950. The mortgage industry became wary of investing in areas with low property values. More than 3/4 of all homes in the city in 2020 were bought in cash. These sales did not get the scrutiny and attention safeguards like title searches that mortgage companies bring to purchases. Many homes in Detroit are in gross disrepair and would cost more to renovate than they would generate in rent. That has created incentives for investors to sit and wait, leaving properties vacant and tens of thousands of unwanted, often blighted properties in the hands of the Detroit Land Bank Authority, which was created by the city to manage vacant properties and return them to productive use. The land bank created a one-person real property integrity unit in 2020 to investigate reported scams and has since referred 10 cases to police. Some city housing initiatives announced in 2021 could help, including a program funded with COVID relief dollars to make lawyers available to tenants facing eviction. Of the 8 victims interviewed by NBC News and Outlier, only 1 contacted authorities. Others said they feared retaliation from their scammers. McCarty from Michigan Legal Services said many of his clients are too focused on finding new housing to file a report. Many scam victims never even get a chance to plead their case in court because police push them out, seeing them as squatters rather than as tenants entitled to the legal protections of the eviction process. Police department guidelines call on officers to refer these cases to the courts rather than remove people from their homes. Alice Miller, the Land Bank's program manager for occupied houses, estimates that 1 in 5 people who call about the authorities' buyback program are residents who have been paying the wrong person to buy or rent their home. Some scam victims are able to take ownership of a house through the buyback program. People scammed in privately owned homes have no such option. The city needs to arm nonprofits and churches with the tools to provide housing advice to people before they buy or rent, said Leanne Adams, the Senior Vice President for National Initiatives with Neighbor Works America, which launched a program in 2020 called StopHomescams.org. And Detroiters also need access to legal counsel when facing eviction, even after the COVID relief dollars dry up. Source: NBC News and Outlier Media, November 10, 2021.